All right, welcome. This is Worthington Publishing Civil War Brigade Series 7-day battle. We're doing the Beaver Creek Dam scenario, Beaver Dam Creek scenario. And we are on the last turn. Thought I'd go ahead and get this done now. Did finish it a few days ago, but finally getting to the recording here. But let's go ahead and close it up. I think we got a historical result, to be honest. It's not going to be a Confederate win. But we'll kick it off here, turn 6. And we've got the command phase initially. And these guys are out of command range of Longstreet. I don't know where Longstreet is, to be honest. Oh, there he is. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's just out of range. It looks like this guy's out of command too from AP Hill. Is he? That's not him all alone. I always got it. There he is, his replacement. So that means they just can't move closer, along with this guy being routed. So shouldn't affect the battle here. This is going to be the one final push. They still have a foothold here coming out of the Union turn. We'll see if they can translate that into something more permanent and enough victory points to win. So let's go ahead and move on to the next phase. All right, now we're in the offensive fire phase, offensive artillery fire phase, and we do see now finally the Confederate artillery is making a difference. Maybe should have front-loaded them to get them on the game. But they did succeed in pushing back some Union troops. We do see this guy, and it was because it looks like they had a 5 here and a 9 here. This guy obviously failed his morale check. This in causing him to retreat, and then this guy did a retreat 3 result. And he didn't rout, though. He was with the leader, but that pushes him off the line. But the march slows him down, so we'll see if they can take advantage of that. And that's probably how you do a proper attack in this game. Start it out with artillery, and then cause the units to retreat and rout, and then take advantage of it. So let's go to the next phase. So here we go. The Confederate troops make their push. Now, thanks to the march throwing them down, that's 4 movement points. They can't get very far. This is as far as they end up going. These guys in the swamp. So they do have at least 4 units across. Actually 5. They slipped this guy up here too. But again, this marsh swamp has slowed them down. And with this happening on the last turn, I don't even know if that's enough points to make a difference. But then at this point, we're going to have defensive fire, and then we'll see who's left to offensive fire. So let's go ahead and, yeah, these guys won't even make it into the battle. Too late into the battle here, before the sun goes down. So let's go to the next phase. And we do see now defensive fire coming first before offensive, and ran off these 2 guys. They were able to use their artillery to assist in some of the attacks. And again, there was a unit here and a unit here. Yeah, we can see them. They were pushed back here, and this guy was even routed. Looks like a 5. Yeah, and then an 8 on the morale check. That's a fail. This guy 9. That's a retreat. He did pass his morale check, but it was a 3R. So 2 down, and it does leave these 3 still across the creek. Okay, and now it's their turn to fire, and they're not really going to get a lot of firepower on this guy like they were set up before. They had guys here and here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next phase. Somewhat anticlimactic. They were only adjacent to 1 unit here, and this guy did do his attack, but he rolled a 1, which is most of the time no effect, especially at 16. So this guy is not affected, and this is probably where things are going to start for the next turn, but we've got to see if anybody recovers from rout. And briefly, we see here the rally phase. This guy did rally. Yeah, there was a guy here who needed to rally. This guy did not. and this guy did not. But with it being the last turn, it's really not a big impact at this point. So that's their rally phase, which is now going to, and again, they've only got 3 across, and we're going to get to see the Union final reaction before the sun goes down. So we'll move into the Union turn now. All right, this guy's out of command. Sykes moved him too far, 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's fine. He's just here to cover the bottom of the marsh, and it's the last turn, so it's not actually that critical. If we move up the line, I marked this guy out of supply. Out of command. I apologize. Trying to understand why. I guess that's McCall right here. Yeah, he's too far. Morrell, he's got these guys up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. He is out of command. That means he can't melee. But I don't think he'll have more impact. And this guy's still out of command way back here. So let's see what the offensive artillery does. All right. Looks like a solid hit here. 10. Caused casualties, but the morale check was a 1. So he's not going anywhere. He's stuck around, and that's pretty much it. I think these artillery here combined to do that. Or maybe that guy's... Okay, well, anyway, that's the result here. He did not go back. Doesn't mean they're not going to get him later. So now we go into the Union movement. And the Union, as you can see, moves up and is going to put the squeeze on him. We got Morrell up here. Griffin, McCall. There's McCall. Meade. And then we got Sykes even down here. So we're going to have a rather large exchange of fire. Remember, this guy's still in the battle too. So we're going to see what the Confederate defensive fire can do against this before the Union tries one last time before the sun goes down to get everybody pushed back across the creek here. So, all right, Confederate defensive fire, they do succeed in running this guy off, the 32. 2 casualties, and he is routed, so at least they don't have a guy here. And it looks like they ran, yeah, he failed his morale check. Oh, there he is. He went to here. So they did at least push 2 people off the line, but still, the Union has, well, they've got some firepower down here with him and him. It'll probably be these guys firing here and these guys firing here. So, don't know if all of these guys are going to stay here, but we're going to find out. So let's move on to their offensive fire. And it looks like they were successful in these 2 attacks here. Yeah, a 9 and a 9. They rolled well, which at the very least caused a retreat. He passed, but this guy got routed. And they were allowed to advance after combat. So here we go as the sun goes down. Pender here is very exposed. Union troops on each of his flanks, and his only line back is through here. But this is the last turn too, so effectively based on the casualties too, yeah, Confederate casualties are up around 57. Union are 28, so that in itself is going to give enough points. But there's only one guy left here too, so we'll go ahead and finish it out. We'll do their rally phase, and then wrap things up for the scenario. And here we are as the sun goes down. And it's like I told you. Let's see the rally phase. They did get, well, they got their guys back. But again, sun goes down, end of battle. Probably what Pender will do in this situation is try in the dark, sneak back across. I haven't looked at the night rules, but I guess they could try and sneak across at night for some penalty. But per the scenario rules, this is, don't even have to look at it. I know it's a major Union victory based on the points. So let's go ahead and sum this up here. All right, here is kind of a summary, I think, from coming from Stephen Sears' book of the Battle of Beaver Dam Creek. Got some preliminary stuff going on here. Fallback. Apparently, there's some troops on this side of the dam, of the creek, and Union troops, and they fell back. I don't think that's accounted for in the battle. Here we go. 3 o'clock, 1500 hours. Taking matters into his own hands rather than waiting for orders. He went ahead and did his attack. Caught fierce fire across the bridge here. Incredibly intense. Ordered Dorsey Pender's brigade forward in a hopeless, well, ironically, whose brigade is stuck here. Directly in a crossfire, 14 guns from their artillery. 3 miles only on the extreme left. Found its way across the street, but could not do any more. That's actually what we saw here in the 35th Georgia. Ripley's brigade had joined, and devastating fire also. Let's see. For the Federals, it was seen as a tactical victory. Of course, McClellan over-exaggerated it. For Lee, proved the coordination he needed to work on that between his lieutenants. Because they weren't carrying out the orders, I think the big thing is A.P. Hill just went ahead and didn't wait. One of Pender's men recalled, advancing troops the next day observed many dead. Despite the tactical victory, Lee ultimately won the larger strategic contest because he shut down ultimately at the end of the 7 days. McClellan gave up his advance on Richmond and trying to end the Civil War early. So, looks like we got the historical result. I would go back, though, and try and figure out how can the Confederates win. They get victory points for here and here, but then victory points for casualties. And just like in the real battle, they had many casualties on the Confederate side, and the Union was able to hold. And again, I've said in previous games, this plays differently. Big two things I'd call out from just the gameplay and tactics is the effect of offensive artillery in preparing for an assault. We did see a few times it did clear people away, at least for the Confederates, so they could get across. So that's number one. Get your artillery concentrated and use it in preparation for the attack, but you could conceivably get in an artillery duel, like we read about with Civil War battles, where one side's artillery targets the other side's, and we could have that going on. The other thing is defensive fire before offensive fire. That's a big one. And it kind of makes sense. As you're advancing, the defenders get the first shot. So you have to be ready for that. And hopefully at the end of that, you'll have troops left over to push beyond that. So, and again, people will rout. You got to take that into effect. So some things to think about here. How I would win this one, I don't know, maybe front load the artillery. I mean, I needed to get up here the other hill, I forget, D.H. Hill. Thought I wanted to get him up first to help A.P. Hill hold the line, but maybe this concentration of artillery should have showed up first and given him time to get positioned and have a longer-term effect in the battle. I think they only got 1, maybe 2 turns of fire in, which did push people off the line, but it didn't keep them off, and they couldn't get enough across here. The other thing is this marsh terrain is horrible. You definitely don't want to attack through a marsh. IMP cost, +2 when people fire on you, and half strength point when you fire out. So truly, I would say you want to use artillery to clear them off the banks and then try and get through to have a chance. You don't want to be stuck in the marsh exchanging fire with your enemy forces here. So, but otherwise, it feels Civil War. Doesn't feel like, World War II or maybe World War I, but, not even that, but it does feel, somewhat realistic. The rules are not too hard, the strategy and tactics, so looking forward to pushing on to my next battle here. So we'll go ahead and end it there. Seems like a promising series, a promising game rule system, not too heavy. Unlike, I do want to get into Great Battles of the American Civil War, but that's another beast entirely. And of course, between that, we've got Black Swan, Fearful Sacrifice, Chickamauga, other games from that, Black Swan, and I think there's another one that's close to it, so that would be something else to look at also. And there's also a War Game Design Studio. I was thinking of pulling up the battle, this specific battle, and seeing what it looks like in War Game Design Studios Antietam. That's computer games, so may look at that too. So, but anyway, we'll end it here. Historical result: Confederate loss, tactical loss. And we are learning the game, so we'll see you at the next recording. Thanks for listening.